I hate videos. Now, you may be wondering, if I hate videos, what the heck am I doing here? Woohoo! Happy Wednesday, everyone. Um, I hope you can hear me and that everything's awesome. And I hope that you're having an amazing midway through your week. It is July 19th, and this is Wonder Women Wednesday. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And if you're watching live, drop us a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. My name is Inga van Roy, and I'm known as a connection catalyst. I help entrepreneurs develop a strategy so that they can stand out and connect with their ideal community. I'm just watching on the other laptop to see how the music is going because I'm playing a song on radio. And I just want to say if you'd like to join us by listening to the radio, you can do so with the website that's scrolling across your screen right now. I'm excited to bring on my guest because we're going to be talking about family. Family is so important, isn't it? And it has helped my guest overcome the challenges that she's faced in her life. So let's wrap it up. I'm just wrapping up the song on the other side. Woohoo! That was Amanda Black with Hamba. And if you are watching live and you haven't been part of the radio on Africa Online Radio, I invite you to come and join us. There's the link scrolling across your screen. Thank you to everyone who is here. If you're watching live, drop us a comment. Let us know who you are, where you're tuning in from. And I'd just like to say, my name is Inga van Roy, and you are watching and listening to Wonder Women Wednesday, where we get to highlight ordinary women that are making an extraordinary difference. I'm excited to bring on my guest so that she can come and share her journey with all of us. So, without further ado, let's welcome Shara.
Hi,
Hello, Shara.
how are you?
I can't hear you.
Okay, oh, let's see. Hold on. Make sure
Just
my
testing
AirPods.
her audio quickly. Let's see. You're on mute. Can't hear
Hello?
you, Shara.
Oh, what is happening?
Nothing. Let me see. It might be mine. So
Can,
let me
can
see.
you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Hmm.
Oh no.
Mm.
I'm not on mute. You still can't hear
I'm
me?
not hearing her. One second. Hi,
Hello?
Shara. Hi.
Hi. Can you
Yes,
hear me
I
now?
can
I
hear you.
was like,
Yes,
oh my god.
I can hear you.
Oh my god. I was like, hello, hello.
Thank you for being here, Shara.
You're
Awesome to
welcome.
have you. Won't you please go ahead and introduce yourself? Let everyone know who you are and what you do.
Hi, everybody. So, my name is Shara Ruffin. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm the founder and CEO of Journey to Licensure, which is a consulting company that provides clinical supervision, coaching, career coaching for social workers, and exam coaching to help them pass their board exams. I'm also a LinkedIn advisor. So, that's what I do.
Awesome. And a little bit about, your personal side.
So I'm a mom of three, mom of three kids and
Mm.
two guinea pigs. I lost one. We lost a
Oh,
guinea pig, Mr. Oreo. He's gone.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, he was sick, but and I am a proud mommy of three kids. Jaden is not here today. He's with his grandmom. Although obviously he would pop in the video. He loves
Mhm.
LinkedIn, but yeah, that is a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're
Um,
welcome.
I want to just hop over to the comments and check out what everyone's saying. Ooh, I see Jayesh Patel smiling at us and he says, yes. Diane. Diane says, happy Wednesday.
Oh,
Hello
she's
from
in from
Philly.
Philly. Yes, I'm in Philly
Yes.
too.
Yes, you two should connect. She's awesome. She was also a Wonder Woman a few
Okay.
weeks ago. And Jayesh says he's tuning in from London, UK. Thank you for being here. And Omatosho says hello from Nigeria.
Oh
Thank you.
wow.
And Whitney says hello from Texas. I believe she's in Katy, Texas. Whitney is also connected to our friend Shri. So thank you for being here, everyone. Good to have you. Let's dive in. I want to hear a bit about you, Shara. I know that a friend of mine she's tuned in, she has a similar background to yours. So
Oh,
she and I actually we met at university, and she's a social worker as well. So Babawa, if you can connect with Shara as well. Anyway, Shara, can you tell us about your career journey and what led you to the work that you're currently doing?
sure. So, again, I've been a clinical social worker for over 20 years. I was a psychotherapist for about half that time. So, I would say that my 10-year journey of struggling to pass a board exam led me to the work that I'm doing. So, Inger, you know this story pretty well, but I started really getting on LinkedIn in 2018, sharing stories. And back then, I was writing articles on LinkedIn about being a military spouse, and I learned the power of storytelling. So from there, in 2019, I was getting ready to take my board exam for the first time and I failed it. I failed it
Mm,
miserably and I missed it really just by 2 points. But I shared that journey on LinkedIn and it's actually still the feature part of my profile. It's like the first post that it actually hit 93,000 views, something like that. And I was like,
wow.
what are people responding to? And it was because I shared that journey of failing my exam, telling 30,000 connections, and then they watched for a whole year me trying to get back in the space of trying to manage children, becoming depressed, almost being evicted from my home, going through really a hard time financially. Of trying to manage homeschooling three kids and trying to
Mm,
find the strength and the power to say, hey, I'm going to refocus on my mental health. And I had lost my job a week before the pandemic started to really focus on how am I going to pass this exam that I've worked so hard to qualify for, about 10 years to qualify for.
mm,
And I ultimately did pass it in the end of 2020, November 8th, 2020. And I took that story and started sharing it on Clubhouse to some social workers, and I started training them in Clubhouse, a study group that I still run till this day. And it took on a mind of its own. About 2 years, 7 months later, I've coached over 300 social workers to pass their board exams. And I've started to get into LinkedIn and professional development coaching with social workers, but it's been quite a ride. It still is. My podcast has been doing really well,
Mhm.
and just trying to do the best I can to help my colleagues. So it's been a whirlwind ride, but LinkedIn has been a very big part of it in terms of allowing people to see that journey, the struggles of managing being a mom, building a business, building a brand, and just trying to help as many people as I can.
Mm. I love that. You remember where we met, right?
Yes, I do. I do.
The first time I met Shara was in a clubhouse room. And I remember the things that she said during this. It was just a small group of us that were meeting, but I remember thinking, wow, you're so vulnerable. And, and I thought, because, I don't know if you know this, but um, people with my background, we don't, we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable and share the good, the bad, and the ugly. We
Hmm.
only share the highlights, the good things, right? And and I think it gives people the wrong impression. It it
Hmm.
allows people to think that your life is perfect when it really isn't. And I remember listening to you speak, and I thought, wow, you're so brave. But I just, I think since then I've grown to learn that you're just real, and that's what I love about you.
Thank you, Anger. I mean, I didn't become. I say story. It wasn't easy for me to share. I think the more I shared over time on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
the more impact I saw of people really uh, really just responding to the stories that I shared, the more it gave me the courage to share more.
Mm,
Um, I really didn't understand the vulnerability part. There were times I was like, oh my god, I'm sharing too much or whatever. But I said, if it helps one person, I was willing to do it because I, coming from the environment that I do as a black woman in my culture, whatever, I grew up in an environment where you don't talk about things outside of your home.
mm,
And growing up, it was a very traumatic experience to have that. So, and I hid my voice for so long, for many, many years. People don't know that I am an introvert by nature. I really am. I like privacy. But I learned that through storytelling and through just sharing those experiences, especially the last two and a half, almost 3 years now, have been very powerful anchors for me to impact more people, and
yes.
to really connect to people. And in turns, it turned into something I never thought it would.
Yeah. Because when I met you, you didn't have this. You didn't do Journey to
Mm.
Licensure.
Mm-mm.
Um, I don't even know if you were you doing clubhouse rooms where you were coaching you?
Not
I
yet.
don't
No.
know.
Mm-mm.
No. But I know that a lot of people uh, gravitated towards you because of what you shared. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, you're sharing your mental health journey and you're a social worker. Like, wow. But I didn't judge you for it. I felt like, yeah, you were so brave because we all have that. We all have different struggles that we go through in life, right? Um, let's just jump over to the comments quickly before we continue. Oh my gosh. So Jayesh is saying hi to you, Shara. And
Hi.
look, oh my gosh. He
Oh,
says,
I have talked to him in quite a while.
hey, Summer. He says, my favorite people in the building. And just so you know, Usama right now, he is usually based in Cyprus, which is the Turkish Republic of Cyprus, but he's visiting his family in Kenya.
Oh.
So I'm so glad to see you here, my friend. He says you both are an inspiration to humanity.
Oh, wow.
So are you. Thank you. Hello to you. Ileana says, hello, everyone. Good to see you here, Ileana. And Diane, wow. Diane says, fail is only first attempt at learning. Beautiful. Thank you. Daisy. Ooh. Hola todos from Ohio. Thank you, Daisy, for being here. Good to see your name on our screen. Um, so Shara, I know you know this, but I'm just gonna have to say, for those of you that don't know about Ubuntu, um, I want to tell you that you're missing out. Ubuntu is not very well known in the Western world. It is known by many of our listeners that are in South Africa, but in the Western world, it's not. So, what it means is it's an ancient African word and it means humanity to others. It is often described as reminding us that I am because we are. And for me, being a connection catalyst, community is very important. In fact, you were part of the very first people that I added to my own community. Um, what does community mean to you, Shara?
Family. Family extending beyond my blood relatives. That would be it for me. When I think of building community, I think of connection. I think of support. Community is a very powerful tool, and I'm not just saying just in terms of utilizing business, but just in life in general. Your relationships, to me, exponentially expand beyond what
Mm,
you can get, but what you can give of value.
yes, I love that. I want to actually show you a quote that's very similar to what you're saying. Um, Helen Keller once said, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much.
Hmm.
And yes, absolutely. For me too, community is beyond those biological relationships that we have with people, right? It's beyond blood. Um, so, Shara, what, how does what you do relate to community?
No, very much so. I would say, as a social worker, leading my colleagues to be able to um, help them pass their board exams is a holistic way that I'm able to give back to my community,
Mm,
because I'm not actively in practice as a social worker. Um, but when my colleagues pass their board exams, which they need in order to get more opportunities, just as I have in my career, it's
mm,
a way of helping them enhance their own communities wherever they are nationally. Also internationally, I've had a couple of colleagues who are now overseas,
mm,
some that were in the military, that now that they have their license, they can now help the communities that they're in, because that license is an important part for them, not only for their career development, but to help them achieve being able to serve in a way that they know they have the capacity to do so. What the license does is allow them to have the knowledge and the expertise and the authority to do the
mm,
work that they do.
mm. I love that. I want to read you something. One of my listeners says, I used to believe that family is where I feel safe and in a sense of belonging. But right now, I feel it's difficult to trust or want to belong. That's tough.
Mm.
It's tough, but I want to encourage you, if you're still listening, that you get to cultivate that. You get to choose who it is that you call family. And really, because you get that choice, um, you can trust and have that sense of belonging as well, depending on who you choose. So make that choice wisely. Um, oh my gosh. There's somebody else is commenting and saying that um, just by listening to you, Shara, you sound so full of life. They love
Oh,
it.
thank you.
Yeah. Um, so, Shara, can you tell us a bit more about your journey and not just that career journey, but you know, what kind of adversity have you faced in your life, and how has that shaped you, and how has family really helped you get through it?
Wow, that's a huge question.
I know
Uh,
it's a huge question, so I'm going to mute myself so I can listen to you. Okay,
oh
go ahead.
gosh.
You have the stage.
All right. So I guess if I had to think about the adversities that I faced in my own life, I grew up to two teenage parents, um, and in a low income neighborhood in West Philadelphia. My parents worked very hard. They only had three
Mm,
children at the time, and I didn't understand how hard they worked until I became a parent myself to understand what that meant. Um, Growing up in that type of environment where you're surrounded by poverty, we never knew we were poor. Um, and how much my father tried to provide. He was in the military for a brief amount of time. My mother was at home with us until we were old enough that she could work. Um, and I would say that being surrounded by two hardworking parents in their youth, they provided a sense of responsibility, a sense of cultivating hard work, and a sense of belonging. Now, at the same time, the flip side of that is that there was some trauma there. My father was emotionally and physically abusive. Um, my mother was subjected to that a lot. We faced a lot of that as children, and it did have its effects.
mm,
As I got older, I started to find different supports and communities in my high school and my middle school to cultivate my own gifts. To get away from my house environment at times became very toxic at times. My family, because they were young parents, they went through a lot. We saw a lot that we shouldn't have seen. At the same time, I knew that they loved us, but they were also emotionally stunted in their growth.
mm,
So when I got old enough, I started to find ways to connect and cultivating communities of my own. Joining high school band, I was always busy doing something to grow. I'm the oldest of five now. Two of my brothers were adopted. My two other siblings, my blood siblings, would they would kind of find their own way, but I was the oldest one. My baby sister is 6 years under me. My brother is a year behind me, and then my two younger siblings, my stepbrothers, one formerly was 18. He passed away last year, and my other brother, who's 21, who's working. One of the things I really wanted to cultivate with them was how important education was. I was the first one to go to college, the first one to get a graduate degree in my family. If I pursue a doctor, which will be coming soon, I'll be the first one to do that. Um,
mhm,
it was important for me to find my own way. Education was my way out of my environment. I did face some hardship there because I didn't have a roadmap. I had to ask for help when I needed it. I have a learning disability. I also have generalized anxiety disorder and ADHD. I was undiagnosed with those things most of my academic career. So, uh, being a inner city uh, young adult at the time, that didn't have a strong academic background, came from a poor school district. I had to fight my way through college a lot. I did graduate with honors, but one of the things I had to tell my siblings about later is they didn't know how much I had to fight, how many times I was in my professor's offices learning how to write a proper paper, learning how to navigate being on my own. I was 8 hours away from home.
Mm,
It's a predominantly white institution. So the microaggressions that I had to face, being around children, kids that were in private school all their lives and having to
mm,
get extra support. It was very different. I
yes.
thrived in that environment. However, it was because I found those supports at school and I was willing to ask for help is what helped me to succeed. If I have to think about, that was almost 18, 19 years ago when I entered
Mm,
college on my own. A lot of my siblings had no idea some of the hardships that I faced. My brother does,
yes.
who goes to Columbia University. He now understands that. But back then, I was scared to tell my family how much I was struggling because I wanted to figure it out on my own.
Mm,
The same thing when I went to my master's program at Howard University. None of my family had ever completed a master's, and I had to figure out, well, how to kind of follow that same framework of um, learning how to ask for help. Um, in my academic career, even my career, professional career, having to find mentors again, it was a journey that I had to navigate on my own because no one in my family had a professional journey such as that.
yeah.
Most of my family's history has been, even going back over 100 to 200 years, has been mostly hard work, labor. So having to change that trajectory, even for my children,
Mm,
I have a better understanding of that importance now of the path that I've cultivated for them.
yeah.
But that adversity has made me stronger. Even losing my first child, I had a stillborn child during my military marriage. And I also had another child, Jaden. Most of LinkedIn knows that, who was medically compromised. And then I shortly after that went through a divorce, almost gave up my son for adoption. Jaden was about 4 weeks old when I became really depressed, going
Mm,
back to work after having a C-section. My
mm,
husband at the time going back to Afghanistan after losing our child and me having another one, having to be a single mom, even married, trying to navigate my field, having to build a career, and then have it almost taken away again
mm-hmm,
after building up that career because of a licensing exam. Those hardships have shaped me to be able to hold the space for my colleagues in a way that I never thought I would be able to
mm,
as of now. So if I had to think about that journey, that adversity, there's many probably experiences I can think of, but when I think of just the early experiences of learning how to build support wherever I was when I needed it, learning how to find my voice, it took
mm,
me many years, almost I can say most of my life, to get to this point of being able to share and appreciate the hard, appreciate the good, but acknowledge the bad and
mm.
extract those lessons from them.
Wow. So, how has family become that one thing that has helped you overcome?
Family for me, I love my family very much, my blood relatives, but a lot of the family I consider family are beyond that system that I've
Mm,
had to cultivate in whatever community that I was in at the time.
mm-hmm,
When I left at age 18, I didn't come back home. So when I was in college, I had to find mentors, uh, friends, people from all over that didn't look like me, that didn't have the same experiences that I did, learning how to work with various cultures, um, probably primed me and prepared me more so when I entered the workforce more than anything. So,
mm-hmm,
whatever job I had, whatever internship or experiences, I cultivated different communities as I went because I knew I would need the support. So family to me goes beyond just my
mm-hmm,
immediate family. Now in my professional journey as an entrepreneur, and my fiance is my family. He's been that since I was 16 years old. Um, Holding the fort down when I wasn't able to help him financially, and now being in a place that I can help him. Um, it's important to have somebody there. I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do or have the freedom that I do if it wasn't for him.
Mm,
I can honestly say that uh, behind every person, there's some type of support. And I can honestly say he's been that for me for most of my life and most of my son's life as well.
mm. Okay. Whew. Let's go to the comments and see what people are saying. Okay, so Jayesh says, very true. And he says, sorry to hear that, that you've had a difficult time of things. And he says, you remind me of how strong women and mothers are. Thank you, Jayesh. Well, I want to read your comment that I received online, and we say, wow, I am inspired by your story, Shara, and grateful for you sharing it. But I love how, through all your difficulties, the outcome is so evident of who you are today. And I love how all of it has shaped you mentally and emotionally in making a difference in the world. But more importantly, how important it sounds to be, um, how important it sounds to you to make a difference in the next person's life. They said they could almost feel every pain that you went through, but they also feel the strength that radiates through. You are a strong woman. Wow. Shara, um, you know, well, maybe you don't know. Let me say that. Maybe you don't know, but you know, for me, I look I've looked at you and I've been walking this journey of LinkedIn with you for a number of years. And I always look at you and I think sometimes I don't know how you do it. Um,
I don't know either.
I'm just gonna say, I'm sure you don't know either. Um, but as you said, family has been that one thing that has helped you to overcome. Um, I have another comment. Would you like to read it?
Oh, Adele Smith, Shar, you're an inspiration. You most certainly have superpower, Wonder Woman. Please keep sharing your story of resilience, love, courage, and determination against all odds. Oh, thank you, Miss Smith. Adele, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Adele is awesome. Daisy, I'll read this for you. She says, I applaud you for getting to where you are in spite of the difficult times. Some would have gotten so wrapped up in what was going on at home that it would have made it too difficult to get out of and be successful. You are truly blessed, and your strength is inspiring. May God continue to bless your path, Shara.
Oh, thank you, Daisy. I can, and sharing those difficult things, I have to. I don't want people to think that in sharing that I kind of floated through those things because I didn't.
No.
Um, there were definitely times where I felt like giving up that I did. Um, it was a roller coaster ride of emotions from my early years up to this point, and even now I still go through those difficulties. But I think it's important for me to share them, because the last thing I want anyone to think is that I'm this, nothing can touch me, because I've had some painful losses, some, you know, but I also had some very vulnerable ones where I fell apart. And I'll give an example of this. And I don't think I've shared this with LinkedIn yet. I haven't had a chance to. When my brother died last year, and I talked, I had it on LinkedIn, and I'll never forget. I was in the midst of about to do my clubhouse study group. This was February 17th, 2023. And my mother calls and she says, "You got to get him to the hospital." And I figured, I'm like, "Oh, Samir's, he's just out and about."
Mm.
And, you know, and she's like, "No, he's at the hospital." And when she told me Penn Presbyterian, I know that's a trauma center in Philadelphia. That's where a lot of gun violence victims go to. And that's usually where they die. And when I
Mm.
was like, "Oh, well, he's okay, whatever," I couldn't, I just denied everything. And I just told um, Courtney, who's my girlfriend, and said, "Hey, can you tell everyone in Clubhouse, I'm sorry, in about 15 minutes, I got to go." And I went to the hospital, waited outside for about 30 minutes with my fiance, my other brother, my two brothers, and it was like everything slowed down. My mother came and she went in there with the doctors and she came out screaming that her baby was gone, and my brother just shook his head. I knew he was gone.
Mm.
And he died 6 blocks away from me. And at that point, everyone in my family needed to be held up. I was their strong person. In my family, I am considered the strong one. And from February of that time all the way up until, I'm going to say, Christmas of last year, I am on the outside. Everybody's seeing LinkedIn posts, people passing their exams. I'm plugging away. And I can honestly say I was falling apart. I ended up in the hospital twice. No one knew. On LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, I talked about having excessive migraines, and I went to the hospital in the ER.
Mm.
Stayed there for about 8 hours. They did every test. They said I was fine, and the doctor said, "How have you been doing?" I said, "I've just been working. I have been going and going and going because that's all I knew how to do." When my brother died, I was the person. I made his funeral arrangements. I helped my mother. I helped do everything. And
Mm.
then my stepfather, he had seizures, found out he had lung cancer. And then Christmas time, um, and then after that, he ended up having brain cancer. He's actually in the hospital now. They're trying to figure out if they're going to take a tumor out of his head or not. The tumor is still there, and I'm just
Mm.
praying about that. But whenever there was a crisis in my family, I was always the go-to person. When and that was just the hat I would wear. And I'm
Mhm.
sharing this story because I want people to understand that I've had to really learn how to take that hat off. Because there was still like a mask that was there.
Mm.
Of I have to be the strong one. So whenever I hear someone describe me as strong, I always cringe because I
Mm.
don't consider myself that at all. I've learned how to adapt, but I've also had to learn how to, especially this year, really think about how to make sure that I'm okay. Because if I am not okay, I cannot help my family. I can't help my clients. I can't help anyone. And
Mm.
Christmas time, when that happened, it was a wake up call because physically I'm fine. Mentally, I had went into this period, which I've done most of my life, of this is all happening around you, but you got to keep going. You got to keep going. You got to keep going, and not really addressing what the real issue was. Um, so I want to share that story with everyone because I want people to understand that I'm human and that I've learned how to cope, but it wasn't always healthy.
Yeah, I think I think we all do, to a certain extent. We just keep plodding, keep going, right? Um, and not necessarily in a healthy way. But what I want to acknowledge as you being strong is not that you do that. It's that you have overcome. You can look back now and you're still standing here, but you can look back and see all the crap that
Yes.
you've gone through, right? Like, and I think I see that when I see a lot of women, a lot of people, we overcome those things, but we never want to acknowledge that we are strong. We have overcome. We've built resilience. We are tenacious. We are determined, you know? And I want to say, Here, my friend sent a message. She said, "What a beautiful testimony about perseverance."
Mm.
That's you. You have a beautiful testimony. There are so many things that you've overcome, and you're standing here. You're sitting here in front of us, and you get to speak about it. Um, and we salute you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us, for being vulnerable. Um, as you know, that's one of the things that I've always admired about you. Let me see. Diane, she says, we are often called the strong one when we care for others, especially during difficult times. We need to remember to practice self love
Mm.
and care so that we don't weaken ourselves by depleting ourselves and giving all we have away. So
Mm.
sorry for your loss.
No, thank you, Diane. I appreciate that. To have the time to grieve him. It was an aftermath effect. Once every is funny because with my family, it's like when everybody else was calm and fine, and it's like a residual effect I had
Yes.
of delayed grief that I experienced later on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was also a learning experience for me to know that, Shar, you don't have to do that. That
Nope.
boundaries are important.
Yeah.
Letting my family know that I'm not this mystical thing. Um,
No, you're
that
not.
that I have feelings that I may have a different way of dealing with it,
Mm-hmm.
but understand that I struggle too.
Mm, mm. I see myself in you, Shara. Jayesh says lots of love and hugs.
Oh, thank you.
And Daisy says, wow, I can relate. In this, I'm the strong one, or supposedly to be in my family. I'm so thankful to God for giving me the strength to endure everything I have. Only through Him has this been possible. Keep pushing forward, girl. God's got you. Beautiful Daisy, thank you. Adele is also reaching out. She says, someone once shared with me that your story may be the key that unlocks someone else's prison. I believe that your testimony is such a key. It's real and resonates with many and makes someone in this world feel less alone. Yep,
I hope so.
absolutely. It really does, Shara, because when you share, when you tell about the different struggles that you have, um, it helps other people see that what they're going through is not so unique. And if you can overcome it, so can they. So that's beautiful. Oh, I have a question. They say, I wanted to ask a question and advice on something that I struggle with, but instead, I want to encourage you, Shara, to never cringe when someone says that you're strong. Because being strong is not about others, but just like Inga said, it's about your journey and where you were and what you went through and what you endured, but still managed to go past, still managed to be kind and have a good heart. Because many people are not the way you are, even if they've gone through much less than what you have, right? Many
Mhm.
people don't choose to share, to help others, to impact others, right? But your story, you're allowing that to impact, which is beautiful. And they also say, embrace the compliment of being strong because it is about you and who you are and not necessarily about what you can do for others. Your heart is your strength. Beautiful. Thank you. So we have a few minutes left, and I just want to ask you, you spoke about family, and that family goes beyond that blood link that we have with people.
Mhm.
So, how do you, and you, sorry, you also said something. You said that wherever you've gone, you've built that community with others. Can you
Mhm.
tell us how you did that so that maybe somebody else can take it and implement that in their own lives?
Um, I would simply just say, I guess I could do this through examples because when people ask me, well, how do you do that? I say simply by first acknowledging that I need the help and finding that asking for it really. Um, there is as many no's as I would get, I would get a yes. And knowing how important it is to get the support. Whenever I've asked for help, I've
Mhm,
always received it. And if I had to want someone say, no, I can't help you, that's fine. I'm gonna keep going to find
mhm,
that person that will be that support for me. Throughout my academic career, even my professional one, I've had to learn that delegating is important for me to do so I don't expunge my energy, and knowing
mhm.
that my energy and my time is important and precious because that's something that we can't get back.
Yeah.
Valuing myself enough to know that I needed to ask and get support was probably the thing that turned into action.
Mm. Okay. And what about instances when you didn't need help? How did you cultivate that sense of family with others?
So, in instances where I did not need help, I would say that I chose to take my experiences to help others, just
Mm,
um, depending on what it was. So, for instance, if in my professional career as a social worker, we're kind of hardwired to help others through our professional experiences, but I was always hardwired to kind of not just through professional experience, but through my personal one.
mm,
It's kind of the thing that separated me from my other colleagues who were in therapists there,
yeah.
yeah, that were doing therapies. That um, building rapport with my clients was important to me. So sharing powerful stories to help them through
Mm,
was important for me to connect with them. Besides my clinical training, in my academic career, it was just joining support groups. It was helping others and connecting through similarities, but also connecting through differences.
mm,
My willingness to, my passion for learning beyond not just reading a book, but my interest in people, the richness of culture and wanting to learn more about others. I think for me personally has been the thing that's been probably the driving force of me wanting to connect and wanting to share wherever I went. And that I think for anyone that's listening, that's going to be different
for
depending on the
you.
person, depending
Mm,
on the comfortability level, because it takes it does take courage, and
mhm,
it takes time, and it takes support. And Inger, you know as well as I do, when we met, um, in the space that we met in, we had a support system that
yes.
would push us to share and be consistent at what we were doing.
Yeah.
And you have to find that support in whatever way it looks for you and know that
Mm,
it's out there, but you have to be willing to look for it
mm,
and act.
yes. Yes. I said this last week and I say it all the time. We can give you all the advice that we have, but you need to listen and implement what we're talking about in order for you to have the same tool in your toolbox, right? Um, I'm looking at Jayesh's comment. I don't know if you've seen it, but he says, just a thought, you can share your inspirations by writing a book, maybe.
Yes, I've been toying around with that for quite a while.
Mm,
I haven't written a book in a year now. I wrote two back to back within 3 weeks of each other, and I kind of like needed time to kind of bounce back. It's the end of the year, and I have no book yet, but so I think this year towards the end, there's some things I'm working on to automate for my business, so I can have a little bit more time to inspire people the way I want to, using the experiences that my
Mm,
learned experiences. So that will be coming soon.
awesome. Awesome. Do you want to share your books with us?
Sure. So the two books that I do have, one is called 90 Days of Prayer. Now it's a it's a journal for social workers to inspire them to keep going. But I've had plenty of people buy that journal just that are spiritual, that just want the generalized messages that they're there to keep people encouraged. There's also 90 Days of Inspiration, which is a mindset journal. They're both on Amazon. They were designed for social workers that are studying for their board exams. But I've also had so many people buy them that are not social workers just because of the messages that were in them. So there are definitely more books that I want to write. It's
Mm-hmm.
just also looking at time and
Mm-hmm.
streamlining some things so I can do that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think um, I have the same struggle where there's so many things I want to do, but I have to focus and just stick to what I'm doing right now and complete that first, and then I can move on to more things. What do you have any final thoughts for whoever's watching, please?
I would say um, life will continue to give you experiences until you listen to. Um, I would say trust yourself and trust the path that you're on, even if you don't understand it.
Mm,
A lot of times, our paths they change over time, and it's okay to change with it. Um,
yes.
and it's scary. I'm
Mm,
kind of in the middle of that right now myself, and but when you're given those experiences that it's time to change, um, change is scary, but it's often needed in order for you to grow. I know that sounds, you know, like a Hallmark card, but it's so important in terms of realizing that yes, it is scary to evolve, to change, but that's life, right? That we're never the same person we were yesterday as we gain different experiences over time, and that it's okay to evolve with each experience, with each connection, with each uh, relationship that you cultivate, and just be willing to go for the ride and go to the grave empty.
I love it. Mm, yes. Woo. As the Sama would say, mic drop. Thank you, Shara. Where can people find you?
Oh man, I think now I'm on 8 different platforms now. So when you ask me like, how do you keep up with this? I say I really don't know. Um, LinkedIn, Instagram,
Mm,
TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Threads, um, Clubhouse,
whew,
podcast. If you Google my name, you'll find me
all of
on
it.
any one of the popular platforms that are out there. I'm there.
Mm, love it. Let's just go to the comments quickly. Um, I have some actually that I've received on WhatsApp. So someone says we draw strength from other people's stories. It is our responsibility to share, to empower others, and that will give them the courage to keep moving because there is light at the end of the tunnel. Um, and then they also said applied knowledge is power. Someone else is commenting on your testimony. They said, sometimes you listen to the testimony of someone else and you think, how are they still standing? Yeah. And someone is responding saying, so true, eh? But you walk away meditating on that story, and then based on what you heard, your journey starts. And then I have a comment from somebody else that says, I'm encouraged and will ponder on this session. Food for thought. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Then I want to go to the comments here from LinkedIn. Christine Smith, she says, support is closer than I thought. I was vulnerable enough to say I'm scared about a new project. Someone validated everything and said they'd pray for you, prayed for her. So 180-degree change. Wow.
Yeah, one
Jayesh
thing at a
says,
time.
one thing at a time. Yes. And
Yes.
also, thank you for having us and sharing your story and experience. Oh, Christine says hello and Ubuntu to Inga and Shara. Thank you, Shara, for guiding future Wonder Women. Wow. There you go. Shara, you're amazing. Daisy says, yes, change is scary but necessary. And Diane. Diane says, accept the challenge of change, control the chaos, and find your calm along the way, and find a better, improved self at the end of the journey. Daisy says, thank you for all you're doing, Shara. And
Oh,
Shara,
thank you.
I want to read you something. I'm sure you've heard it many times, but I'd like to read it nonetheless. And this is a poem by Maya Angelou. It is entitled, Still I Rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high. Still, I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I'm the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. That's for you.
Oh, thank you. I love that poem.
You're welcome. Thank you for being an awesome guest. I'm going to send you to the green room as I wrap up. And if you
Okay,
need to drop off, that's fine too.
no problem.
Be, be blessed. You are
Thank you for
amazing.
having me.
My pleasure. See you. And if you're still watching or listening, thank you for being here with us. And please note that this conversation will continue on Africa Online Radio, where we bring you only the very best in local and international music. We are your oasis of entertainment, your Kapsa vibe. And if you're watching, please have a look at the address that's scrolling across your screen, africa www.unwavering.co.za. Pop in, click listen live, and join us on the other side of this wonderful session with a beautiful guest, Shara Ruffin. Thank you, everyone. Take care, be blessed, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Wonder Women Wednesday. Bye for now.